grab your timer, hit start with me, because I'm going to write, say, 2 sales emails right in front of you using the StoryBank method. Before we dive into all of that though, I want to share why I'm doing this. And it's because I hear this all the time from my members. At least I never know what to write about. And this entire process is so simple when you understand how to use stories in your emails, but also how a StoryBank method or the StoryBank practice actually helps you do this in a way that makes this so simple. Now, I am going to share a tool at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to learn more about that. That does help you do this even more, helps you write all the things. But I want to walk you through the practice of doing this first. Right? Because it all starts with stories. The reason why I can make daily sales in my business is because every single email that I send out is what I call a nurture and sell email. Now, I have covered the nurture and sell framework in a previous video. You'll see that coming up on your screen. But in its most simplest form, a nurture and sell email does exactly that. It nurtures and sells. So there's always a story that kicks things off. There's always a lesson, right? You've always got to make it relevant. And I think this is more what people say when they say to me, Lisa, I don't know what to say in my email. I think that's where they get stuck. So I'm going to help you with that. And there is an action step. And then there is a clear call to action. And the call to action is when you sell. But it's not about being super salesy or anything like that. And if we haven't met, I'm Lise and I am the founder of Hustle and Groove, and I have worked with over 1,000 creative entrepreneurs in making daily sales inside their emails without social media. So if that sounds like your jam, stick around. So the first thing that we need to do before we start writing these emails is to talk about the StoryBank method, because without that, you won't be able to do this. So on screen right now is my notes app on my phone, and there are tons and tons of stories that I just capture in here. There's a mixture of other things as well, but predominantly this is full of stories. So that's where my StoryBank is. Now, my StoryBank actually started out as a Google Doc, and you're more than welcome to do the same. But the point is to get into the habit of doing what I'm about to tell you. So listen up. The only thing that you need to do to create your StoryBank method beyond choosing where you're going to store everything is to ask and answer this question every day. What happened today? And then what you're going to do is basically recount your entire day. Now, I like to record this, so I'll just hit record on my phone and it just goes into my note app. You could use otter.ai, or you could just use the voice notes, whatever, right? Like whatever that is on your phone, that's the best place to do it, because it's just so easy. You can capture this wherever you are. But you're going to go back through your day and you're just going to talk about the things that you did. Now, I know that you're going to sit there and go, but there's nothing special that happens in my day. There's, everything's pretty mundane, but I can guarantee that if you actually sit down and just go back through your day from the moment that you get up to either the time that you finish work or you go to bed, however you want to capture things is entirely up to you, then you're going to start to build this muscle of being able to recognize stories and then being able to make a story turn into a lesson for your audience. In other words, how do you make it relevant? But that's the first step. Can't really do anything else without your stories first. But what I want to walk you through today is actually the way that I go about writing my emails by following the Nurture and Sell framework. So I'm going to do it on screen with you, and I'm going to pull a couple of stories out. I'm writing this for the Email Empire Builder 6-week live program that I'm about to host in November. So I'm writing the emails anyway, so I might as well show you what that process actually looks like. Okay, are you ready? We are now going to set our timer. Ready, set, go. So the first thing that I'm going to do is have a look at my StoryBank. Now, because this is about building an email, sustainable email, all of those things, what I'm really looking for are different stories and ideas that help me highlight how email is the better option. So beyond just capturing stories, I also capture quotes, and I've just kind of gotten to the habit now of capturing quotes and things like that all the time. And so for this first email, the idea that I had is a true or false question. Okay, so subject line, I've just put true or false because it literally ties into this entire thing. The money is in the list. Now, this is a statement that people have probably heard many, many times, and I felt like this would be the best place to start. It's actually something that I had written down in my StoryBank in the Notes app, and I just put it as kind of like a statement. The money is in the list. Something that I'd heard on a podcast or watched on YouTube, and I was like, at the time, I was like, you know what? I know at some point I am going to do an email program. This would probably be a good start to that. So this is how I've started. The money is in the list. I'm sure you've heard that saying many times, but is it true? Or is it simply one of those catchy phrases that online gurus love to tout about? The answer, it depends. So this is where I'm now transitioning into the actual kind of truth lesson, whatever it is that I actually need to help them understand. And so here is kind of where I'm going with this. The truth is, the money is in the list, but only if you have been engaging that list. You could have an email list right now of 50,000 subscribers, but if they haven't heard from you in over 60 days and you go and send an email, it's probably not going to work that well. So the money wouldn't necessarily be in the list. Or if you have 500 people on your email list, but they haven't heard from you in 6 months or more, and you email them, then you're not going to get anything from them either. Conversely, the same is true for, it doesn't matter the number of people who are actually on your email list. It's more about the engagement. How engaged are they? So the number doesn't matter. So I want you to also kind of realize and understand that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm just going to write what I just kind of said to you to highlight what it is that I'm wanting them to understand, because the money is in the list, but like I said, it depends. And so I want to walk through those nuances. Okay, so here is how I've tried to communicate this. I've said, here's what I mean. You might have an email list of 30,000 subscribers. The theory goes, for every subscriber, you can expect on average $1 return. Now I need to find the source of that because that is an actual true number. So you might be thinking, cool, I should be making $30,000 from my email list per year. But here's the nuance. If you haven't sent them an email in over 60 days, that return significantly drops or disappears altogether. Or maybe you've been sending regular emails, but all they do is try to sell something, right? That's not nurturing, no consideration for what your subscriber needs or wants. And this is normal, but it's why the saying the money is in the list is only true if you've been nurturing and selling consistently. So that's the story and lesson all rolled into one, right? That's how this all goes. And then the next thing that I want to do is say, so if you want your money to truly come from your list, then you need to nurture and sell regularly every day, like I do. Your action step: decide what your regular email content looks like and whether you need to actually tweak it. Are you nurturing your audience? And are you selling to them? Both need to be in place to get a real return. And if you want to learn all the ins and outs of how to do this, then I'd love to invite you to the email Empire Builder group program. We kick off on November 2025, just $100. Beta version. Normal price will be $330 USD. Get all the details here, and that'll probably be a button. Take here, Lee 60. And that is pretty much it, right? Really simple, very straightforward email number one. So let's talk about email number 2, which is pretty much going to go out the day after. Because I'm sending daily emails, this is really not going to be too different from what I'm always doing. So now I might try a different story. So I'm going to open up my StoryBank right now and see what I can find. Okay, so I have just found a story from when I was in Vietnam. And basically it's just a dentist story. You can see here, it's pretty short and sweet. It's really just to capture the kind of concept, the idea. But basically the story goes, I went in to get some crown moldings made, right? But discovered that crown preparation, which is what they said, means having your teeth drilled and ground down. So I had no idea going in that that was the case. And this is what the story is that I'm kind of capturing. I said here, I'm glad I didn't know this ahead of time because it actually lessened the anxiety. What you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes that's a good thing. So I want to use this story to kind of highlight how when you are running your email program or doing your email marketing, sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and that's a good thing. But also thinking about it from the perspective of your audience, right? The whole reason the Email Empire Builder program has been created is to help people really connect with their audience, because if you understand your audience, it's actually a lot easier to present them with offers because it doesn't feel weird or awkward because you're doing it on a regular basis. So I am now going to turn this into a story that we can actually use. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I've come up with a subject line, ever wish you didn't know something, and I've written the story, and then here is the transition. And you'll notice that I say this a lot. Here's the thing though, sometimes not knowing everything about what's ahead can be a blessing. But when it comes to your business, that's a different story entirely, especially with email marketing. The more you know, the more confident you become, and the easier it gets to connect with your audience and make those sales happen, which is exactly why I've created something special for you. Quick question. When was the last time you felt totally confident about your email marketing strategy? If you're drawing a blank, you're not alone. That's why I'm inviting you to join the Email Empire Builder, a 6-week live group program where we'll turn those email marketing uncertainties into your biggest business asset. In 6 weeks, you'll build an engaged email, create content that converts, generate daily sales, and never worry about social media algorithm changes again. And the best part, since this is the beta round, you can join for just $100 USD, blah, 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 right? So that's the next email. It's kind of building on top of what we've just done. So that is how we use the stories. Now, I know that you might be looking at this going, well, that was really easy for you. And it is easy for me now, but it didn't used to be that way. And so what I want you to do is make sure you follow that framework from Nurture and Sell. You start with a story. You then come up with a lesson. What's the lesson? How is it relevant to your audience? And that kind of gives you like the transition. Then you provide an action step. What's the action step takeaway? Then a call to action. That's very loosely how the Nurture and Sell framework goes, and it makes it a lot easier. And you can vary it. You can see that this email here is way more kind of story lesson based, and this one here is there's a story and there's a lesson, but then it also goes into a bit more of the CTA. So you kind of split backwards and forwards. Now, if you want this to be a lot easier for yourself, then I actually have a Nurture Natalie persona that is coming your way very soon. So Nurture Natalie is based off my Nurture and Sell framework and the newsletter StoryBank. So if you have either of those trainings, then you will get access to the Nurture Natalie persona for free. Or if you just want that Nurture Natalie persona, that custom kind of GPT, I don't use GPTs, but a custom tool is coming your way soon. More details in the description below. Struggling with storytelling in your emails or figuring out what stories you could include in your emails? That's exactly what the newsletter StoryBank training is all about. And it's an audio training. You can go through it. There are 14 prompts that are going to help you create stories. Now, you can go and find that on the link that is coming up on your screen right now, or you will see it in the description below. But go and check that out because that is going to help you start to develop stories create stories that you can use in every single piece of your content, not just your emails. And in the video that is coming up on your screen right now, we are going to dive into psychology hacks to make sure that your emails get opened. And it all starts with your subject line. So I will see you in that video.